I think it's quite interesting that a lot of the discussion around consciousness, or a lot of the either real theories or kind of mystical theories of consciousness, tend to focus either on the very small or the very large. There's a school of consciousness research, which I don't think has any merit personally, but a school of consciousness research associated with people like Stuart Hameroff, Roger Penrose, that look at quantum fluctuations in the microtubules of the brain as the source of consciousness. I think the logic of that is, and I may be wrong here, but I think the logic of it is that these structures in the brain, called these microtubules, are so small that quantum effects could take place within them. And because quantum effects, quantum fluctuation, are so far the only acausal events that are known to happen in the universe. In other words, they happen without any, these fluctuations at the quantum level take place without any cause. They actually initiate, they kind of self-initiate, that the kind of free will or something like it, or consciousness, that kind of end of consciousness kind of comes into the back door by being associated with these quantum fluctuations. And as I say, Hameroff and Penrose, and probably others as well, have looked to these microtubules, the smallest possible structures, and at quantum fluctuations, the smallest possible events, as sites of consciousness. And at the other end of the scale, not in scientific terms, but in terms of mysticism, there's a whole school of thought which associates consciousness with the whole universe, mind at large, big mind, all that kind of I don't know what you'd call it. Anyway, it's kind of some kind of mysticism associated with that. Oh, there's a dog coming. And again, you get a lot of the language around that is, it's very hubristic and makes very grandiose claims. And out of that, a lot of the claims like, human consciousness is a kind of fragment or some kind of small holographic projection of this big mind. Or you get claims that consciousness, the single undivided consciousness, certainly preceded human consciousness, but possibly even preceded matter in the interior universe. It's almost as if consciousness is this singular primitive, which, as I say, precedes the formation of matter and so on. Which again, I tend to think is probably bullshit, but it's an interesting place to look for consciousness. So it seems to me we're either looking for mind, either in the areas of the very small, or the areas of the immeasurably large, the area of the singular, the immensely singular, or in the area of the infinitesimally singular, the smallest things in the planet, the elements that undergo quantum fluctuation, or the largest things imaginable, which is the whole universe considered as a single entity. I don't know what to think about that, really. It just seems like an odd place to look for mind. I've got a feeling that mind is probably not simpler than that. I think it's probably much more on the surface of things. I think it's probably more likely to be, where your brain is and where your body is, and where the trees or the dogs and the grass and the trees and things are. I think mind is probably just where you find it. I don't really know why it would be out in space or in the microtubules of your brain. Look at that dog, you see.